What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Field Guys podcast, where reality is augmented.
Right.
Max, I'm working on intros. You got to give me
Okay.
some credit.
Well, I'll
how'd
help
you
you out a
feel
little
this
bit.
week?
What you been up to this week?
What I've been up to this week?
Yeah,
I
man.
haven't done anything, Max. Oh, no,
Anything.
that's false. I built a fort.
You built a fort.
Yeah, in my
Let me hear
basement.
about it.
It's really good, actually.
Yeah?
Okay. So first, we have one of those I forget, love sack couches
All
where you
right.
can like take them apart and move them around. I like
I
to
know
make
exactly what
beds.
you're talking about, right?
Right? Okay. So what I did was I took it all apart and I moved everything to the side, like all the different sections and the cushions, that kind of stuff, everything aside. So that we had just a huge open space in my basement.
Right.
And then what I did was I took like the bottom parts, like the foundations of the couch, and
Okay.
I built them to make like the outline.
Mm-hmm.
And then I used the cushions, or no, and then what I did was I tied the blankets up to make like a big canvas kind of thing.
Okay.
Put that on top. And it was like heavy, so I started to fall. So what I did was I stood the cushions up, like the stiff, because you know how the bottom cushions of a couch are always more stiff, and then
Right.
the ones you sit back on are like the softer ones.
Yeah.
So I used the stiffer ones to stand up the blankets to make like a bigger and more, I want to say, inviting roof. Usually it was more roomy.
Okay.
And then with my birthday money, which was on March 15th, by the way, shout out me,
Wow.
I bought this huge memory foam beanbag chair. So there are like two halves of my fort. There's the back part and the front part.
Mm-hmm.
Front part's like the living area where everyone congregates and hangs out together, and that's where the beanbag chair is. It's like 5 feet in circumference. It's gigantic.
Yeah.
And then I have the back part, and the back part is where you sleep and work and eat.
Is this fort still running? Is it still up?
It is, actually. My mom is annoyed, actually. She tried to get me to take it down.
Wow.
But I defended it. It's like Fort Knox over there, Max. It's not
Are you?
coming down.
How much time are you spending in this fort?
I don't leave it, Max.
Okay. Do you sleep in the fort?
No, it's scary in my basement. I don't like.
Right.
I actually no.
Very
scary.
scary.
It sounds silly, Max, but I get scared at night by myself.
Well, that's just awful. You know, I've been learning the guitar, Cameron. I'm being pretty productive. You get ready for this. Get ready for this. I know 6 chords. Actually, you know what? I think I know 7.
Wow.
I think I just learned my 7th today. We're learning Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA. We're making a lot of progress.
Aren't most songs like 4 chords?
Yeah, well, I think the ones I've looked at have been 2 or 3. I'm starting off easy, but yeah.
I'm very proud of you.
Yeah. All right. You wanna talk about some sports? I'm sure people do not get on this podcast to learn about sports and guitar.
Max, we could band together and make an artistic community.
What is an artistic community?
Like, I'll focus on the community aspect, like the town and the foundations, and then you'll lead the art part.
The art
you'll
part.
Be like because you play like 18 different things,
right?
And you'll be like this. You'll create all like the music of the land, and that is what our community will focus on.
Remember how I told you I was watching Step Brothers?
Yeah, I felt weird about that movie.
I know, but their whole thing was like, what was the name? But their whole
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna be 40 years old.
Hey, and it worked out. It worked out in the movie.
Yeah, it did.
Well,
all right, let's hop into some sports.
Okay.
So Jameis Winston is obviously a free agent. He was cut once the Bucks signed Tom Brady. But his former QB coach, Clyde Christensen, was interviewed on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah.
And Pat asked him, like, hey, do you think Jameis is going to become an elite QB? Do you think he's going to get better? And he said yes. And I kind of agree with him, to be honest. I mean, Winston has never really had the opportunity to get settled down, right? He's had 3 different head coaches, 3 different OCs in 5 years. So the scheme, the offense is always changing. So maybe if he can find somewhere where he can get really settled down, I mean, there's
I
a
can
chance.
certainly
There's a
see it.
chance.
If the laser eye surgery actually ends up like making a difference,
Yeah.
because the people also forget the fact that apparently he was playing with like blind, which
Yeah.
is impressive.
Hmm.
But it's not like he didn't have weapons in Tampa. Like
Yeah.
he had Mike Evans and he had this amazing offense and Bruce Arians, who is an offensive coach.
Yeah.
So it's not like he had this excuse like, oh, I didn't have a good team around me. He had weapons. So there's not really a huge excuse for throwing 30 interceptions. Um, I mean, also like, what else is his coach going to say? Like, is his quarterback coach going to be like, nah, he sucks? Like you
Yeah.
like when you're on a talk show like that, just because of like just PR and the way that the sports world is, you're going to say yes, just like to not play politics. Like
Yeah.
that's what the Patriots have always been so good at. Like playing politics and always staying on like the non-emotional levels.
Hmm.
So he's not going to say like no, this guy can't play or no, he's a bad quarterback. He's going to
Yeah.
say yes. I think he can become a very good quarterback and he can become a franchise quarterback.
Hmm.
A lot of things I think need to go right for him.
Yeah. I think a change of scenery can definitely help. I mean, we saw Ryan Tannehill this year. That came out of nowhere, right? Um,
That's true.
but I mean, Winston definitely had weapons. There's no disputing that. He had what, like over 5,000 yards throwing
Yeah.
this season, and I mean, he
33
has the talent,
touchdowns.
he has the ability. He's just got to improve his decision making, I think.
He needs I think he needs more maturity because that's also something you see across like across the deck with good quarterbacks. And we talked about this last time where teams are starting to look for players that have maturity and have that decision making, right? So that's why the Colts got Phillip Rivers. That's why the Bucks got Brady. That's
Hmm.
why the Panthers got Teddy Bridgewater. It's because they're not the most physically talented. They're not the most insane throwers of the ball, but they have good decision making. They learn the playbook. They put their heads down and work.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Winston needs to learn how to do. Like that's why Cam Newton's not signed yet because he's physically gifted, but he has never been known for his maturity or his decision making.
Yeah, and maybe he can
So
find that coach that can really, settle him down, improve that maturity, and then he can take that step forward. Because he really hasn't. I mean, he had Bruce Arians, but he hasn't had a coach for more than what, like 2-3 years at a time. So I think that definitely hurt him. But speaking of Tom Brady, um, it was reported that he's not bringing his own playbook to Tampa. He's gonna develop the Bruce Arians offense.
as he
What do we
should.
think of that? I mean, we saw Peyton Manning bring his playbook to Denver, and obviously
Mhm.
that worked out for him pretty well. What do we think of Tom Brady just using Bruce Arians' offense?
He'll be fine. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna learn the playbook pretty easily. I don't know if the lack because I by this point I don't see OTAs happening.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's been reported that they're not happening
is it?
actually.
So I don't know if that'll help or hurt him,
Hmm.
but Brady is his football IQ is off the charts. And I'd also assume just by the amount of time he's played and the size and complexity of the Patriots system, I'd assume that the Bruce Arians playbook won't be too much of a leap for him. And most of
Yeah.
the plays he's probably either seen before or played before.
Hmm.
Because the Patriots developed different play styles and different playbooks, like almost for every team they played. So I can't imagine that there are too many plays on there where he's just never seen them, or there's a system on there that he's never seen before. So I can't imagine this is too hard of a transition for him.
Yeah, and he can definitely throw his own spin on some of the plays. I think he can definitely improve that playbook. And it's easier for one person to learn an offense than 20 people to learn
Yeah.
a new offense. So I think it's the right move, kind of a selfless move. I like it by Brady. So that's that. You want to move on to Tua talk?
To
There's
Tua.
been
He's
some
been in the
Tua
news a
talk,
lot today.
which is insane.
Not today, this week, but yeah.
Tua is kind of the sports world right now.
He is. He's saving everyone.
Yeah. Um, so, one thing I've seen, we can answer this question. I don't think it's going to happen. Do we think Tua is going to drop out of the top 5?
No, not at
No.
all. I haven't
But
heard.
the
I
one
know where those rumors came from because I heard people talk about like, oh, I've heard rumors of dropping out of the top 5, but I've never then heard someone can like agree with that. So I don't know where this rumor came from. They dropping out of the
I
top
think it's just with, the whole COVID-19 thing. He's had injury history. They can't really get their team
5. The
doctors out
doctors
there to
can't see him.
test
Yeah.
him. So teams might be, hesitant to draft him. And, we're seeing that maybe happen with the Dolphins.
All right. Oh, the Dolphins are. If the Dolphins really aren't are having hesitancy about Tua, it doesn't make any sense to me
Mm-hmm.
because Joe Burrow, I feel like he needs to be the number 1 pick,
Oh, for
just
sure.
right. But I think Tua is the better prospect. So this is like the rare occurrence of it's better to not have the number 1 pick this year because it
Yeah.
gives you an excuse to draft the better prospect.
Yeah. And for them to get Joe Burrow, I mean, they'd have to give up like so many picks.
Right. So this would be perfect for the Bengals because the Dolphins also have like 6 picks in the top 70, I think. Like it's like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So they're gonna trade up. If this does happen, they'd be trading up to get the number 1 spot.
Yeah.
They'd be giving up a bunch of future picks and valuable picks at that.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd be getting, in my eyes, the worst. That's not saying like anything bad against Burrow. I think Burrow is a franchise quarterback and he's great. He's gonna be fine. But Tua, I think, is the kind of player who changes a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why you would give stuff up to downgrade.
Yeah. I think they're both quarterbacks that can change a franchise. It's just the Dolphins would be giving up, I think, like a lot of their future. I mean, you see they're building a really strong team right now, and they have a lot of draft picks, so they can really advance, their future and really turn into a win now mode. If they give up a lot of draft picks, I think they're taking a step backwards. And I think I don't think Joe Burrow's, I don't know, any better. I I go back and forth. I don't know which one I like better. I mean, Burrow put up probably the best season in college football history,
But let's also
but it's
not
also
forget
Tua.
but also Burrow is throwing to like 5
Yeah,
NFL receivers
that's
against
fair.
college level.
That's fair. I mean, Tua's
So,
also at Alabama.
that's
So,
true. It's true.
So, yeah.
I mean, but if you're Burrow right now, you're begging the Dolphins to make this trade.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
I am 100% hoping that I land in Miami rather than landing in Cincinnati. Miami has a way better front office, a way better coach,
Yeah.
way more structure. I think the Dolphins are set up. If they play their cards right, the Dolphins are set up to make a run at the AFC East title.
Yeah, as early as this year.
As early as this year. So plus you get a year to develop behind Fitzmagic. So
Yes, sir.
the man, the myth, the
We
legend.
love Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I don't know why I love him either. I just do.
I mean, he comes out in interviews with like 3 buttons down in his shirt, all the chest hair and the sunglasses. He's looking pretty sharp.
He's had a kid in every city he played in.
Really? How many kids does he have?
Like 8.
That's actually so funny. But Burrow kind of just fits with the Bengals. Just with his family being from Ohio
kid,
girlfriends
yeah.
from Cincinnati, it just fits. And I don't see the Bengals trading out of it. Even if the Dolphins offer them like the world, I think they've just had their heart set on Joe Burrow. But I do have an interesting theory that we can talk about
I
that I
think
heard.
I was looking at your idea, and I heard other people putting
Yeah.
out some pretty similar ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It's if the Dolphins offer a make like a really nice offer to the Bengals in terms of draft picks and future prospects,
Mm-hmm.
I the Bengals could very well make a very significant upgrade quickly.
Yeah.
But you run us through your plan.
Right. So there's some pretty good quarterback free agents on the market. Cam Newton's working hard. I think he's going to come out of this in total revenge mode. Um, I see him doing really well next year. And one thing the Bengals could do is they could go out, they could sign Cam Newton, they could go out, they could sign Antonio Brown, which,
Would be
it's pretty unlikely that someone signs Antonio Brown, but
I think he's done with football.
Alden Smith was just signed by the Cowboys, so anything's possible, right?
It's true.
So they go out, they get those two, and then they spend their first round draft pick on Chase Young. You're kind of contenders right there. I mean, you
I
got
know.
Cam Newton, you got Antonio Brown, you got
Is Chase Young going to be available at the 3 spot though?
well, they just
Or-
spend the number one pick on Chase Young. The Bengals.
No, but what I'm saying is, if the Bengals trade with the Dolphins, they lose the number 1 spot.
But what if they don't trade with the Dolphins and they take Chase Young at number one?
And then they sign AB and Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Okay. What if? Okay.
It's
what
not going to
this?
happen, but it's intriguing.
What if they decide that they like Andy Dalton?
No.
No,
No.
no, 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 no. What if? No, just hear me out.
Okay.
What if they decide like Andy Dalton isn't the reason we're losing games? He's like a fine average quarterback. Like, he's not a liability. They trade with the Dolphins to get like 4 top 3 round picks. They make huge upgrades at O-line. They still have the number 3 pick overall, so they can still get like a game-changing player.
Mm-hmm.
They can still take Tua if they want, I guess, to develop behind Dalton. And they also have those future picks. I think if I'm the Bengals, I want to make this trade.
Okay.
But also the problem with the Bengals runs much deeper than talent. I think their front office ruins players.
Yeah. I mean,
Feel bad.
and another thing to consider, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going to be available next year. If you're still
Oh, he's going to the Patriots. Shut
if
up.
you're still god awful, I mean, you'll
Going to
get a
the
high
Patriots.
pick and you can pick Trevor Lawrence if nothing works out for you. Cameron thinks he's going to the Patriots.
It's possible. Okay, hear me out.
I don't know about that, man.
No, Max, hear me out. Okay. A lot of the teams that have huge quarterback needs this year are filling that need with this draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Dolphins, probably the Bengals. Who else needs a court? Probably
The Chargers.
But the Chargers have Tyrod Taylor, so I guess
They're going to roll with Tyrod Taylor. I don't think he's the future, but
right. So if the Chargers want to draft someone to sit behind Tyrod Taylor for a year, but a lot of those teams are filling those needs this year in the draft, right? So there's not a huge need for quarterbacks next year, which means even if the Patriots have like the 11th pick next year, they can still get Justin Fields or someone like that. Or even if they have like the 7th pick, Trevor Lawrence, I can see Trevor Lawrence falling down to 7 through 11 just because of
I don't see that at all.
What if he has an off year?
The only reason Trevor Lawrence
what if he gets injured?
Yeah, I was about to say that. The only reason he would drop out of like the top 5, top 3 would be an injury, I think.
I just think there are a lot of the QB needs are being filled this year.
Yeah, but someone will trade up. I mean, I think so. I have a hard time seeing a quarterback, potentially one of the best prospects we've ever seen, fall out of the top 5 just because less teams need quarterbacks.
That's fair. But then also, why not the Patriots trade up? and use
Also,
that.
also, there are teams that might not need quarterbacks right now, but 365 days from now, it could be a completely different story.
That's true, but
I mean,
I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm not even saying it's
yeah,
statistically probable. I'm just saying
it's possible.
there is I wouldn't be shocked, like completely blown out of my mind if this happens.
Yeah. Okay. I think that hits that point because you wrote something that said Bills or Dolphins. I think that was the point.
Dude, Dolphins.
Yeah.
Sorry, Connor.
I'm going Bills. I got you, Connor.
They're your Super Bowl pick, which doesn't make any sense.
It's like a Super Bowl pick with an asterisk. It's early. It's not like an official Super Bowl
The
pick,
Chiefs are
Cameron.
gonna win it again. They're
But
so good.
that's the easy pick,
So
right?
it's the right pick, probably.
I don't know.
Saints Chiefs, final pick.
All right. Do we want to talk about Dak Prescott a little bit?
I hate the Cowboys. They're so dumb.
Yes, we both hate the Cowboys. I think I hate them a little more than Cameron, which is
You
saying
do,
a lot.
but yours is more biased
Yeah.
because you're a Redskins fan.
Right.
I just hate them because they're dumb.
The Cowboys are like refusing to pay Dak Prescott. I mean, they're paying all of their guys. They've given long contracts to Zeke, Amari Cooper, Jalen
That's so
Smith.
funny.
But they won't give a long-term deal to your franchise quarterback, or maybe your franchise quarterback. If you're listening on audio, I put air quotes.
He did put air quotes.
Yeah.
I can confirm.
I don't know if Jerry Jones has complete trust in Dak Prescott. I mean, you can't say he does because if he did, he would have a deal by now.
I don't know. I just don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think what they did was they signed like 8 people, realized they had no cap space left, and they were like, "Oh, Dak, we forgot about you. Sorry."
Yeah.
Like, also, I don't think both parties are innocent though. Like, I think Dak deserves a long-term deal, but he's asking for a lot of money for a stunningly average quarterback.
I wouldn't say he's average. I'd say he's in the top half of the league.
Yeah, but yeah,
he's not a top 5 quarterback. He's
right.
probably not a top 10, but he's around that 10, 11 maybe.
He's a good quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback. But he's making.
If he's your franchise quarterback, then you will give him whatever money he asks for.
No,
if he's your guy. If he's your guy, you will pay whatever.
Not if you have no cap left because you gave it all.
Well, that's their problem, right?
They're
not focusing on Dak Prescott. Instead, they're going out and signing Aldon Smith, a guy who's had 3 DUIs, 3 accounts of possessing an illegal assault weapon. He made a bomb threat to an airport, and he has domestic violence in history.
As you do.
So, how is Dak Prescott feeling about this? He sees the news report.
He's probably feeling disrespected because
he's sure
proven his worth. But also, I think that he needs to do the math in his head and realize they can't pay me what I'm asking for. Like, even if he does deserve it, which I think he deserves to get like somewhere around what he's asking for.
Me too.
Especially long term. But if you just do the math, he can't. I don't feasibly see him getting it.
Well, one thing he could do, and we saw Zeke do it last year, he could sit out. I mean, it worked for Ezekiel Elliott. Who's to say he sits out of training camp first couple games?
Quarterback?
I don't know. That's the thing.
I have absolutely no clue who is.
That's the thing. As a Redskins fan, that would be awesome. But, it might be his best move if he wants to play for the Dallas Cowboys and he wants to get that money. Because if he sits out, then they really got to make a call, right? They're either saying, we're going to let him go or we're going to pay him big time.
Or maybe it's time for him to be a leader and take a salary hit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You see some quarterbacks do that. I like that. I like winning.
Yeah. No, me too. Except when it's the Cowboys.
Oh,
have we gone over the fact that I hate the Cowboys?
A little bit.
Okay. I'll never understand that idea in the NFL where it's like he can't stand the difference between like 35 million and 30 million. Like,
yeah.
like at a certain point, it's like money's not an object anymore.
I think it's sort of the pride in being like the biggest deal of all time, right? That'll probably last like 2 off seasons.
Yeah, that's called being selfish,
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
the reason a lot of teams fail.
Yeah. I mean, I've
So
seen this with Bryce Harper. We love Bryce Harper here.
yeah,
Not really.
he's hey, if he ever wants to come on the show, he can feel free.
Yes,
We
Bryce,
have
I take
we
that
have
back. Please come
a
on the
lot of
show.
we have a lot of questions for him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is sort of just a small note. But Adam Schefter was on a talk show and he was talking about how free agent deals, a lot of them aren't technically signed. So
Okay.
theoretically, if a team goes into the draft and they land like someone they weren't expecting to, they sort of luck out. They technically have the ability to take back a free agent deal. I don't see it happening, but it's technically possible.
What does it mean that a lot of the free agent deals aren't signed yet?
Well, they with the whole social distancing thing, they can't come together and sign the papers. It's an agreed upon deal, but it's not like on paper. It's not a contract yet.
Interesting. I wonder who that affects.
The players.
Well, I meant specific. Like I know for example, like Brady has officially signed.
Yeah, I don't know which ones specifically. I'm sure a lot of like the smaller guys, like the smaller
Eh,
deals.
idiots.
Yeah. But that could be interesting. I don't see it happening, but
I don't think it'll be a huge thing.
there's always that possibility. I think
I
it's
think
happened
it'll.
with Josh Norman. Like they offered him like a franchise tag and then they withdrew. And that's how he became a Redskin.
That's so
But
funny.
I think that's like the
Where
only time it's happened.
he's with the Bills now, right?
Is he? I haven't even seen that.
Yeah, it was him and Stephon Diggs were like their two big signings.
Uh, well, Norman's not that great anymore. I've seen a lot of him recently.
He's good. He's good.
He's average, I guess.
He's good.
So there was a tweet by I think someone who worked at LSU.
Okay.
I don't know if it was one of their direct employees or some. He had some connection to the team, and he released like a list of all of the sports and how much money each one made, how much profit they got. So I'm gonna read it off real quick. It's pretty interesting. So football, men's football, 56.1 million in
Okay.
profits. The next closest, men's basketball, 1.62 million.
Bank.
So right off the bat, 55 million drop. And then
Yeah.
baseball is the only other sport that has made a profit, and that is only $569,000.
Yeah.
Every other sport combined for $23 million in losses, and the worst one was gymnastics at a negative 2.2 million.
How many
So
sports are they running?
yeah,
If gymnastics was the worst loss at 2.2, how does that add up to?
well,
20
they're
million?
probably all around 1 or 2, and that'll add up.
That's still 22 sports.
I'm
That's
yeah.
a lot of sports, Max.
Yeah. So football, as we can see, is sort of carrying college sports in terms of profits.
Yep.
Yet the football players are not getting paid a
Dude,
nickel.
I've been saying this for years. The NCAA needs to pay its players.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't pay their players, they at least need to relax the rules.
For sure.
It is the players are giving themselves up, their bodies, their lives, their time for this organization. And in return, the organization gets to rule their lives.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
if a player can, a player is making money for the NCAA and he's not seeing any returns. Like all the returns he gets are either from the school or from like family members, but it's never from the NCAA. All the NCAA is profit. It's like what's the word I'm looking for? A parasite. That's what it is. It's a parasite that just sits there and uses them for money and then just pushes them to the side.
Nice word. No, they're going out there. They're risking their bodies. I mean, a lot of these guys are getting concussions, and a very small percentage of those players go on to the NFL. So a lot of these people are getting concussions, which can lead to later problems, and then they're going, to just a normal job, and they're getting really no compensation for it, besides, I guess scholarships. But I feel like it's $1 million industry, and they're getting nothing.
The question is, should the gymnastics gymnasts also be paid? Should baseball players also be paid if football is making 98% of the profit?
Yeah, I maybe they get something, just not as much.
Yeah.
I mean, football is really carrying, like it's not even close.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
but also, it's dependent on schools. Like, I assume for Duke, their football program does not make as much money as their basketball program.
Yeah, like LSU is an exception probably.
At that point, it probably would it then change by school? So like, would Duke men's basketball players make more than LSU men's basketball players, and how would that compare to football? And then does that change how recruiting happens? Like, do players start going to Duke because those players get paid better or get better benefits? And does LSU start getting more players because those players get paid better?
Yeah, and do better players get paid more than like bench warmers?
Right. Yeah.
It's a big question. Definitely interesting.
I am no economist, so I'm not going to even like try to figure out how the paying would work.
Right.
But in summary, I think the NCAA needs to pay its players, or at least find some way of making the rules more lenient or giving them some sort of benefits besides just a team photo and a ring if they win something.
Well, I mean, they are getting, an education. A lot of them get scholarships.
Yeah, but you can go to college without being a player. There's like no incentive.
Okay. I mean, I still think they should get paid, but I think they're coming out with a little more than a team photo.
Nope.
Okay. Nice. All right. So Ty Law, a former linebacker, I guess he went to a couple Pro Bowls. A story came out where he
did do that. Yes,
he went to a couple.
He was good at his profession.
He was all right.
He was okay.
So he released like a story or a statement or something that said Peyton Manning at the Pro Bowl would come up and try to get him drunk to get information about their defense. And Ty Law, being, a veteran, wasn't going to let that happen.
Sure.
But this is interesting to think about. If Peyton Manning went up to Ty Law, who's to say he didn't go up to like some rookie and, do the exact same thing?
Savage. Peyton Manning's a
this
savage.
Is awesome.
I want to know what the success rate was of that practice.
It's probably pretty low.
It has to be, right?
He probably got maybe 3 or 4 people.
And it also couldn't have been like big secrets.
Oh yeah. But imagine if someone just gives away their defense. Like I was hearing Pat McAfee talk about this, and he was like, I mean, if you're some rookie and Peyton Manning walks up to you in a bar, and you like exchange phone numbers, and what I'm saying,
you want to flatter Peyton Manning if you're a rookie.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the return rate was I can't imagine it was worth his time. Like the amount of work he put in.
I mean, probably. I mean, what else is he going to do at the Pro Bowl? He's hanging out with guys. He's having fun.
That's fair. The Pro Bowl is its own thing. It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. I mean, they can't really do it in the middle of the season because injuries and whatnot.
Right.
But I mean, like in basketball, it's sort of easy to not go 100% and still have like a decent game.
Yeah.
But for football, I mean, you have to go 100 or nothing.
I think they should have to get rid of the game itself. I think they should have like the skills showdown and the dodgeball game and all that kind of stuff, and then just not have the game.
Would players come to like a skills showdown if there wasn't a game though?
Maybe, yeah. A lot of the players hate the game too.
They would have to pay.
That's why. Well, I mean, that's why so many players like don't go to the Pro Bowl. Like there
Yeah.
are a lot of players who get selected to go and then just don't go because they're afraid of what might happen if they get hurt or if they end up going far into the playoffs and they don't like they get hurt in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
So I think they should get rid of the game or make it like a flag football game, but
That would actually be really cool.
but keep all of the like the skills showdown and the dodgeball and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think
And
that's
make it way more
probably the right
like
call.
fan centric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. This is an interesting story and one that you were probably not expecting to hear. The
Okay.
NFL is broadcasting one of the playoff games next year on Nickelodeon.
Is it
Yes, the Nickelodeon that like
Like-
6-year-olds watch.
like live?
I think so.
Or is it like as a replacement?
No, it's not. It's not a replacement.
Okay, so they're not choosing Nickelodeon over Fox.
No,
Okay.
imagine that though. Oh my
That's an
gosh.
awful business decision.
Well, I still think this is a little wacky. I mean, what are they trying to do? I guess they're trying to appeal to the younger crowd, but like
Maybe.
how young? I mean, think about the people that watch or the
They're
kids that
like-
watch
they're like-
Nickelodeon.
They're like 12-year-olds who watch Nickelodeon.
Yeah, but I feel like if there are like 6 to 8-year-olds who want to watch football, like they're gonna find a way. Like I feel like this promotion is not really gonna do anything.
I mean, also like if your dad wanted to watch football or your mom wanted to watch football, you were gonna watch it anyway.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not.
what I
It's not
mean.
like the kids are controlling the remotes in the house.
Yeah, dude, but one thing that would be really cool if they had like SpongeBob like CGI, just like out there on the field. Okay.
Adam Silver told Donald Trump that he wants pro sports leagues to lead the way in restarting the economy. I don't know why that's a story or why he thought that was going to make a difference. Like, yeah, of course he does. That's how running a business works. Of
Okay.
course you want your business to lead the way in restarting the economy. I'm sure every other big business person in the world has said that to him also. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates. Like, yeah, that's how making money works, buddy.
Yeah.
So as if like Donald Trump was sitting in his office and Adam Silver gave him a call and Donald Trump was like, oh, you know what? That is what I'm gonna do. You're right. Let me just do that real quick.
Yeah.
Like,
And I know he just had a meeting with all the commissioners and whatnot, and I think he said he wanted to get things started by like August. But
he also said he wanted to get stuff started by Easter.
He didn't consult with any medical experts, so that's probably
Good.
not going to happen. So
Good.
we're doing great here.
Well, he is the leading expert on coronavirus.
Oh, for sure.
Self-proclaimed, I might
Oh
add.
yeah.
I would like to move to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not the NBA season will continue.
Yeah.
And if it does, how will that look in terms of length and like will fans be there and that kind of stuff. So I wanted to get your opinion on whether or not you think the NBA season is going to begin again or continue and how that's going to look.
I do think they're going to kick things off eventually. It's probably going to be pretty late into the summer. I saw a Kevin Love interview on Trevor Noah, and he asked him like the same question, like, what do you think is going to happen? And he basically said, like, once, the social distancing is passed and whatnot, these guys are still going to need a training camp of some sort. So we're probably going to see like a 1 or 2 week period where the guys are getting back into shape, because right now, a lot of them probably don't have the ability at home. Like they probably don't have a home gym, all of them. So they're going to be a little bit out of shape. So like a 1 or 2 week period where they get back into shape. And then maybe a 1 to 2 week regular season into like a shortened playoffs. I think that's what we're looking at. Whether fans will be there, I don't know. It's really all unknown.
That also means a really short off season though. Like if they're ending in like
Yeah.
September and then they're expected to start again in November, that's a really, really short off season.
That's true, but they're not playing basketball right now.
That's true. I also wonder what that looks like for rookies, because then the rookies only have like 2 months to get acclimated to the offensive system and
Yeah.
just the league in general.
Even with the NFL, because they
Yeah.
might not have as much training camps and whatnot.
I think I think the league will. I don't know. I was about to say it's going to start again, and
Yeah.
then as I was saying those words, I was thinking about it, and I don't see it happening anymore. I just had a full 180.
I think they won a champion. I
They
think they won a
probably do it,
champion.
and I think just in terms of like what the world needs right now, kind of like similar to the NFL draft, where like people just need a reason to get excited.
Yeah.
I think NBA basketball would be perfect for like people to watch and people to get excited about. But I don't see stuff happening like the world getting better in time for an NBA season to continue and the playoffs to finish before there's like enough of a time period between next season and the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think it's a little different than something like baseball because it's already started. Baseball hasn't started, so we're kind of looking like, is this thing actually going to happen? With the NBA, it just doesn't have an ending.
Right.
Like, but I know with baseball, they said they were willing to play into like November. But even that, like baseball has a cutoff date because of winter,
Yeah.
right? Because snow and whatnot. And they play 162 games. Like
They won't
that's
this
going to be
time.
hard to get in.
Yeah, especially they don't really have breaks in between anyway. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
there's
not
like the
like they
All-Star
have
break.
breaks
That's
that they
it.
can cut out and fill those times. Like the baseball season's gonna be cut short.
Yeah, I saw like maybe increased double headers and whatnot, but that also leads to like pitchers getting tired. And do we need to increase the roster size and
Yeah.
a whole bunch of new problems?
I think the NFL really lucks out here
Mm-hmm.
because it happened at the perfect time where the NFL ends and they have a while before they start. So the NFL gets to like watch the NBA and MLB figure it out and like take over that first wave. And then the
Mm-hmm.
NFL can see what the MLB and NBA do and then like fix those errors and then also take it on when it's like hopefully less severe. So I think the NFL really lucks out just in terms of timing. With
Yeah.
this whole
And you mentioned the rookie thing earlier. I think that's going to be the one effect on the NFL. I think rookies are going to have a lower impact this year. Like someone like if Tua ends up with the Dolphins, he's probably not going to start day one. I don't know if he was anyway, but if there's no training camps or a lot less training camps, then I don't see him starting.
I think veteran teams are certainly going to have a huge advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Just teams that already know the playbook and teams that are surrounded by like a good front, like they already have an advantage over the younger teams and maybe the teams that are still figuring stuff out. But even more so this year, like teams that have an established playbook and an established culture. Those like the teams that don't really need the OTAs anymore. I think they're going to have an even bigger advantage than they usually do.
Yeah. All right, that's sort of the sports talk.
The sports talk.
Do we want to move on to? Do we want to hit the questions first, or do we want to hit the recommendations first?
Let's hit the questions first because I'm excited to get some of these questions. I'm going to start off with my personal favorite from our friend Will Hillier. Quote, "Isn't it kind of a bad time to do a sports podcast?" Yes.
And no.
And no, because we have a lot of free time.
There you go. That's one plus.
But there's less sports.
There's a couple less sports, like 0.
A couple less sports.
Like 0.
That could not have been correct.
All right. Moving on. Our friend Jackson asks, he's pretty excited about Eric Thames going to the Nats. I am too.
I'm a Red Sox fan, and I'm excited about it. This guy is huge.
He's asking if Eric Thames will hit more or less than 34 home runs. Look, before I say this, I love Eric Thames. I think he's awesome and he's jacked.
He
I'm
is
gonna,
jacked.
I'm going to take the under just because I think he's platooning with someone like Howie Kendrick and Ryan Zimmerman and even maybe Asdrubal Cabrera. There's a lot of people that can play first base for the Nats, and I think Eric Thames will play maybe 130, 140 games. Whether that's enough to hit 34, I don't know if he's hit 34 in the past. He probably has. But I'm gonna take the under. What about you, Cam?
I was worried you were gonna say over 34 because I love Eric Thames and I love his biceps, but I don't see him hitting 34.
I'll take the over for home runs for Juan Soto, though.
Oh, God.
Also,
Over
with the
34?
shortened season, I don't know if that's gonna happen. But
All right,
if there were a full 162, I'm taking the over all day on Juan Soto. I would take over on 40.
over on 40. So okay, so make a prediction. Make sure you include the fact that it's a shortened season.
Okay,
How
well
many
that throws everything off.
you got to recalculate, Max? How many homers is Juan Soto hitting? Give me like a ballpark, puns of like a range of like 6. So like,
Okay,
what's your
let's
minimum, Max?
let's say they figure out this virus and they end up playing around 100 games.
Okay,
I'm gonna say Juan Soto hits. We'll go with his number 22.
22.
Yes.
All right, I can see it.
Mm-hmm. I
All
think
right,
that's pretty
22.
reasonable.
That is a reasonable estimate right there.
Yep. All right. So our friend Matt asks, when will the NBA season come back? We kind of talked about
We
this.
need to talk about that. Sorry, Matt.
My
I don't see it
prediction is
happening.
sort of late summer. Cameron doesn't see it happening. So
My
that's our
advice is get 2K.
There you go. All right.
That's not sponsored, by the way.
We are not sponsored, but if 2K is listening, if Ronnie 2K is listening, we would love your sponsorship.
Yeah,
And you can come on the show.
Yeah, if anyone's listening and they want to come on the show.
Yeah, so we're going to get Bryce Harper and Ronnie 2K.
Right.
All right,
All-star.
so Claire asks, how will a shortened MLB season affect the postseason? And I sort of mentioned this earlier, like how deep can they go? They can't go much deeper than like November.
Right.
I don't think we'll see a shortened playoffs. We might see a shortened regular season. I don't know how they would shorten the playoffs. Maybe make it 5 games instead of 7 games. But
in terms of like teams, I think.
I mean, I don't think they're going to change the number of teams or anything.
No, I mean just like in terms of like the teams that make it. I don't see it being a huge difference.
I don't think it'll change anything.
Because I think the teams. I think after a certain point, like you kind of know who's good and who's not.
Yeah. Like the only thing I could see is maybe teams that have very good pitching depth because they're going to need a lot of pitchers if they play double headers and whatnot.
Right.
But other than that, I just don't see any change really.
Julia Logano asks, what's your favorite position in Ultimate?
I can tell that she knows the positions.
I think she's already guessed actually, but she just wants to hear our confirmations.
Right. I'll let you go first. What's your favorite position, Cameron?
What's my favorite position? This one's actually a bit of an underdog here.
Okay.
I currently play handler, and for those of you who don't play Ultimate, it's
like the quarterback.
There are 2 positions. There's handler and cutter, and handlers are the ones who like usually throw it and are the ones who are like throwing it to the people downfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both positions still need to catch and throw and need to be able to do that well, but handlers focus on throwing. And I play handler just because on my team, I'm one of the more experienced players. But when I play for the All-Stars team, for the Fairfax All-Stars team, I play hybrid. So I'll either play handler or cutter depending on who's playing with me. And if me playing cutter, because I like to call myself pretty fast. So I'm vertically challenged, but I'm very fast.
Much so.
If I can play with decent, like with really, really good handlers, I really excel as a cutter just because like I think I have good IQ. and I know when to make certain cuts, and I can usually beat my guy deep. So I love playing cutter, but I don't play it very often because on my team, we don't have very many people who can play handler. So I mostly play handler. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think handler and cutter in terms of how much they're fun to play, I'd say they're about even.
Yeah, I mean, I normally play cutter, but it's funny though because I like had the opposite of experience as Cameron with the All-Star team. Like the coach asked me to do a couple rounds of handler. I'm like, I never do this, so I will admit it was a lot of fun.
Handler is fun.
But I'm gonna go cutter just because you can sky people.
Yeah.
I love Sky and Cameron. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Handler is way more fun when it's not windy outside.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We have one final question
I
from our
think this is
good
the
friend
most
Mohammed.
this is the most intellectually stimulating question of them all, if I do say so myself.
He asks, "How is it going, man?"
Max, I'll let you go first.
It's all right. You know, I'm not gonna say I'm doing good because we're locked up here, but I think it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm doing about as well as I can,
Yeah.
given the circumstances.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Thank you, Mo, for the question.
We very much appreciate it.
We do, and keep writing in.
Yeah, we appreciate all of your questions, by the way. Keep them coming.
We do.
Yeah. So we got some recommendations.
We will move on to our recommendations to get you through the quarantine.
Yeah. Cam has a couple more.
I really go hard on.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you guys a few artists and some recommended viewing. My artists to listen to this week are Winnie, spelled Wynne. She is this amazing rapper with one of the cleanest flows I've ever heard. She's so lyrical. I love listening to her. Like that, there aren't bad songs that she produces. She's so good. Then we have Nick Grant, who is also pretty underground. I love his voice. He has like this very unique voice and he can do a lot of stuff with it. And then we have the one, the only JID. He's pretty similar to Winnie. He's obviously way more popular. But he has also one of the most insane flows, and he's one of the most lyrical people I've ever heard. And then my non-hip-hop artist is the Sons of the East, who are pretty similar to Mumford & Sons. They're very folky, but I love them. Their harmony is amazing. Oh, and follow my Spotify account. I put a lot of work in my playlists.
He has a lot of songs in his main one.
I have a lot of songs. I have a playlist called Head Bumps that is approximately 1,600 songs. Yeah. And I've been working on it for like 2 years.
My baby. I guess I have one that I came up with real quick. I didn't prepare for this. I really like Rex Like Raj. I found him. I think in like the
Raj.
Yeah, I think he's a former college football player turned rapper. He's actually really good. I found out about him around Thanksgiving last year, and he's really good. But I also have a playlist. So if you're a Nats fan, you probably know FP Santangelo. His son, who does broadcasting work out in San Francisco, came up with this playlist. It's called Happy Quarantine. It's on Spotify. It's actually a really awesome playlist, especially for the time. Like it's just like really just like uplifting, like good songs. Let's see, like Don't Stop Me Now, Shake It Off, Three Little Birds, just stuff like that to make you feel better. Happy songs. Yeah.
I also have a podcast that I want to put out there.
The Field Guys.
The Field Guys podcast. It's actually a self-plug. You guys should. That's it. That's the end of the show. No, it's called Dissect. And what this guy does, his name is Cole Kushner. And what he does is he looks at hip hop artists and he goes really, really in depth into their albums and the songs specifically and their meanings and their influence on the hip hop culture and just the world in general. And I'll listen to that thing. Like, I'm a pretty lyrical guy, and I listen for the words in songs and I try to figure out what they're saying. But when I listen to this podcast, I realize that I understand like 5% of what the meanings are. Like, this guy goes so in depth and it's so interesting. So if you're into like the meanings and the more lyrical stuff, this podcast is perfect for you. Right now, I'm in the middle of his dissection of To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar.
Does he do like individual songs, like one podcast per song?
He didn't for Good Kid, Mad City or Section 80, but he's doing it per song for To Pimp a Butterfly. And I also think he does it for Damn. And I don't know what he does for Tyler, the Creator. And there's also a third person he does.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a podcast. It's not in any way related, but you're throwing out
Cool.
podcasts. I like the podcast. It's called Solve. And basically what it is it's not like people talking back and forth, but they give you like a scenario and a bunch of like information, and you try to solve a crime. It's usually like a murder. And it's just you play the detective pretty much. And at the end, it gives you like 4 or 5 options, and you have to decide who did it. So I really like that.
I remember you played that for me once, and I thought I had it. And
Yeah, and
I
you
was
were wrong. You were
And it
wrong,
made me so angry because I was definitely sure I was right.
but you weren't. All
I
right.
should have been.
You want to talk a little bit about your
About my viewing
viewing
recommendations?
Yes.
I have 2 viewing recommendations. The first one is The Patriot Act by Hassan Minhaj.
Love that guy.
Max and I both love this show. This guy used to be on The Daily Show as one of the correspondents. And essentially what he does is he just looks at an issue in society and he goes like really in depth and does extensive research about it. And he talks about like what we can do to fix it and what the main problems behind it are. But he also puts like a comedy twist on it, so it's not super serious. It's pretty jovial, if I do say so myself. It's another big word for you, Max.
There you go.
It's a great show, very entertaining, and it's also very educational. So if you like your news presented to you in a more interesting and entertaining way, he's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, it's like a fun way to learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like PBS for adults.
Nice.
Thank you. I was proud of that one. And then my second one is a classic. It's The Hangover. Yeah. It's, you know what? It's just solid all around.
You know, I haven't seen
Can't
it.
go wrong.
Is it on Netflix?
It is on Netflix. That's where I'm watching it.
Nice. So I have a couple movies. The first one is Inception. Okay. I don't know if it's a classic yet, but it's gotten a lot of praise. It's very popular.
I call it a classic.
Yeah. Leos are always great. You really got to pay attention. It's a very complicated movie.
I had to like read the synopsis on Wikipedia because I got lost like halfway through.
Oh yeah.
I'm a smart guy. I got lost.
And then my other one is Mudbound, which is like, I think it takes place during World War II. It's one of the world wars. But basically a soldier comes back. It's about kind of an African-American family living on the plantation of, another family and their relationship. It's really good. And then I have a TV show. It's on right now. It's about halfway through. But you can join in. You can watch it starting now. If you guys aren't watching or haven't seen Survivor, you need to start watching now.
You need to get over Survivor, man.
It is insane.
It is.
And also for Jeff Probst, who's definitely watching this, I'll submit a casting tape and you can cast me on the next season.
Of Survivor?
Yeah.
Max, I've seen like 30 seconds of Survivor, and I can already tell you would not go well in that show.
I would win.
I don't think you would.
I would win.
Max, this isn't a shot at you. It's a shot at the way you fit with this show. I don't see it.
Cameron, I would vote you off first. Just wanted to let you know that.
That's because I am physically weak, and not
Oh,
good
that's
at
not
helping
why.
you survive in the wild. Oh, why is it then?
Because you're throwing shots.
Isn't that what everybody does in that show? Isn't that the whole point of this show?
No, not at all, actually.
I feel like it is.
All right.
Max, I'll take shots whenever I want to take shots. And you
But
can
if you do watch
before we get out of the way.
the show and you want a good podcast, Survivor Specialists is awesome. You should go
They
check
have a
them out.
podcast about Survivor.
They have more than one, Cameron. They have a lot of podcasts.
There are
about Survivor.
multiple? Jeez.
Well, think about it. We like sports. There's people that like
Yeah.
reality TV. Why not start a podcast?
Yeah, but that's like if we did an entire podcast, like just about like the NHL.
Okay.
I
And
just feel like there's not enough content there.
oh, I watched every episode of theirs. There's definitely enough content.
I
See, if you watch the show, you'd know.
All right, that's fine. You know what show I want to watch? Lil Dicky made a show on FXX called Dave, because that's his name, and I've seen clips from it. It looks very entertaining. It's a comedy. I want to start watching that.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this episode.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Remember to follow us on all social media platforms.
Yes, we are actually now on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Play. We're on pretty much everywhere where you can find a podcast. So now you have options of where to listen to us.
Shout out to Max for setting that all up. Very impressive.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us. Remember to keep sending in those questions.
Yes.
We really appreciate it.
Please.
We love answering them.
Yes, we love them. All right. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Tell your friends. Bye, everybody.
Please. See you.